On Saturday, I attended my regular Indivisible group meeting. That is our local grassroots pro-democracy organization. And one of the things that we were talking about there was how to put together a good trouble kit. Like, what are all of the things that you should have with you as a pro-democracy activist who is looking for opportunities to communicate, to share information, and to do whatever you can throughout the normal course of your day to fight back against fascism. We were talking about, like, what are the supplies and the tools that you should kind of have either in a little box or a little tote bag in your car and take with you when you're out and about. We are talking entirely legal guerrilla activism, things that your grandma who comes to the local Indivisible group is going to feel good about getting up to. So let me show you some of the supplies and talk about some of the things that I think you should add to a toolkit like that and that I'm going to be collecting for my toolkit. So, okay, first of all, just because I have to brag, I always bring my knitting with me wherever I go. And I've not had enough time to work on this sweater. I am working on a sweater for my daughter. She is a fish and wildlife major who has watched her entire career path completely dissolve because of the cuts that this regime is making to the federal government, but she continues to persevere with her education. This is a sweater that has salmon on it. So I'm still working on that. Okay, so I was knitting during the meeting. So some of my supplies are still in the basket from there. One of the things that we did was we cut up these flyers that we can hand out to folks in our community. And they have recommendations for how to call your representatives and the contact information for all of our reps, our senators, and the congresswomen who cover our part of Portland. There's information on how to join Indivisible. And then on the back, there's a list of upcoming events, locally and nationwide, pro-democracy events, and different organizations that you can join up with. And information on the fact that we are a sanctuary state and a sanctuary city. If you create flyers like this, we recommend that you create small quantities because the information you're going to want to put on these is going to be ever changing, ever evolving. So you don't want to print off too many, as many as you can hand out in a week, and that's it. We spent some time cutting out these to put up at the grocery store, the gas station. They're just printed paper. And so you need some double stick tape in your kit as well. Stickers might be considered something that could damage property, but a little piece of double stick tape on a little piece of paper, easy to take off, not going to damage anything. But still an effective communicator, right? We did that. This price increase brought to you by Trumpflation. Good things to put up at the grocery store, and I've seen them around at the grocery stores around Portland. We also have these little signs about how Congress's choice to cut Medicaid in order to give tax cuts to billionaires, how that choice will impact families in Oregon, what it is that is going to happen to your food budget, your children's food budget, as a result of this this choice that Congress is making to put billionaires above the American people. And then there's information on how to join Indivisible. So you have your handouts, you have your little guerrilla messages that you can tack up around town. You have your double stick tape. Obviously you want to have scissors. Obviously you want to have a pen and paper. We're going to be making buttons at our next meeting that we can hand out. And after the meeting, I was talking with my husband, like, what else should go in that box, in that little good trouble box? What should I put in there? What is important to include? And he was like, oh, well, y'all didn't talk about a really, really important tool for activism, for messaging, that is something that does not cause harm, is temporary, but is extremely useful. And I was like, tell me. And he was like, chalk. You need chalk. Chalk to chalk the sidewalks, but also I made a video on my main, and it's on YouTube as well, where I said that Tesla, the brand, is now irrevocably linked to the oppression of this regime, that their brand has basically been destroyed. They are now a symbol of fascism. We all know what unfortunate, but accurate nickname the Cybertruck has been given. And because of that, we are seeing here and abroad Tesla dealerships that are being vandalized. We are seeing cars, Cybertrucks especially, that are being defaced, graffiti, windows bashed in, things like that, spray paint on the side of them. Honestly, like, you just need a little bit of water and you will rust the exterior of that car permanently, or like some greasy fingerprints. That's all you need to permanently deface the side of a Cybertruck. But we're seeing all of this kind of, graffiti and all of this kind of vandalism that is technically a crime. And we could talk about civil disobedience. We could talk about when destruction of property is something that people do employ in an effort to reclaim their rights, to defend themselves and defend democracy. And that is a symbol of how the state puts the property of the elite above the rights of the people. But that is a conversation for a separate video. This video is all about legal actions that you can take to effectively communicate to your neighbors, to the community, about what this regime is doing. What kinds of legal messaging can you engage in? And so I am warning everybody here, make sure that you know what you're doing and you're staying within the confines of the law, that you know what your rights are and you know what your legal limitations are. And then I'm also just going to show this product as something you might look at and say, how could this be employed in a way that protects me and keeps me within the confines of the law so that I am expressing my constitutional rights without risking, having to tangle with law enforcement. This is just chalk in a spray paint can. It's chalk. It's entirely washable. It's not spray paint. It doesn't permanently deface anything. It can just be rinsed off. So what would you put in your toolkit? What do you think is appropriate? What do you think is necessary? What helps you be able to, at a moment's notice when you're out and about, slip in those subtle messages and communicate and advocate for democracy?